to the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show. That sounded real Irish radio from the 90s, didn't it?
It was good. Keep it going.
Well, welcome to the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show. I am your host today, the bigger, beefier boy, Niall Morrissey, and I'm joined by my fellow Mark, Johnny the Beast Mortos.
Less bigger, less beefier.
Less bigger, less beefier. Beast Mortos.
Beastier, yeah, I guess.
We're just going to truck into it today, Johnny, aren't we? Fuck segues.
Like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, let's get right into it. Let's be as efficient as this card was.
Let's be honest with our audience. We are thirsty for a pint. It's St. Patrick's Day weekend here on the Emerald Isle, and we have two lads who have a woeful thirst on them for a few pints.
Speaking of men with a thirst for a few points, big boom AJ on that pre-show.
Boom! I was actually going to skip the pre-show.
We don't need to get into the pre-show.
Yeah, like it was
that guy had another decent match with Orange Cassidy and Mark Briscoe, who were weirdly in that pre-show comedy spot, despite all the fucking.
You can do anything with them, though. You know what I mean?
You kind of can.
You can stick them in there, and then you could have them in a big match on the next pay-per-view.
And what I did like about it was, and this is just going to be a theme of this discussion about this pay-per-view, it didn't seem forced.
Yeah.
They weren't like wedging a bunch of people onto the card because they're going, we need to get Orange Cassidy onto the card.
Yeah, remember like All In last year when they had like the 16-man fucking pre-show tag match? It wasn't like that. It was like,
which wasn't well coordinated. And it's like, lads, if you give that made that something halfway decent with 2 or 3 weeks of a build, you could have had a really cool moment for like
and done
fucking
like, you could have had
Anthony
advanced
Gogo
5
or
stories
Tommy Billington or someone.
like,
and advance a couple of other stories.
Yeah.
General theme of I felt with this pay-per-view is that this felt like the kind of card that was a classic kind of first 3 years of AEW pay-per-view.
It did, didn't it?
In that like it was really well structured, everything earned its place, and also like
there was no filler.
If people are going, this is the secondary company to WWE. When you look at that card on paper, you go, fuck, like this is as good as any pay-per-view that WWE is thrown out for the most part. I'm not talking about like overall quality. They're actually quite different beasts.
Yeah, they're totally different
in terms
products.
of like that, like this kind of stacked match card, which WWE, God bless them, rarely give us.
I was wondering, like, I was trying to think, like, what kind of match card could WWE put together to rival that?
Well, the simple one is just like, you know,
your best guys together.
Well, it's 2 nights of WrestleMania, and ideally that's what WrestleMania should be, and there should be 8 matches every night.
Yeah, or 7.
We fucking want 8 matches every night.
Wrestling.
7 at the very least.
7.
But
7
that's what WrestleMania should be.
Yeah.
You've got the talent. They want to showcase. We want the fucking content.
Stop putting on triple
You
threat
have
matches.
multiple shows per week to build stories.
Yeah, and there's some great
All the
stories
tools are at your disposal. AEW.
I thought they did a great job building to this pay-per-view.
I really thought they did. It just felt like the most cohesive pay-per-view they've done in fucking quite a while.
Like, actually, like, cohesively in terms of telling multiple different stories that are connecting with the audience.
And that they've been telling for a long time, for the most part, yeah. And I did think that, like, you know, pre-show stuff was mostly serviceable. They had a kind of, there was a luchador showcase.
Yeah, there always is. Bit of Commander.
Bit of Commander, give a bit of Gravity.
Hologram.
Bit of my cousin, Beast Mortos.
Beast Mortos is out there. The Jericho angle was actually very good on the pre-show.
I was, again, pattern break.
Yeah.
So I was watching the pre-show, but I was like, I was sitting, I was like,
okay, this is a good angle. And we're getting.
I just think, look, he's a fucking legend, and he's also the Ring of Honor world champion. Like, don't be on pre-show. You don't need to be on pre-show stuff.
No,
done that. Your act, that belt, your angle, everything will benefit from you just not being there.
Yeah, do it.
Like, if you're
on TV,
do it in a way that's important. Don't do it for the sake of it, because you're devaluing fucking everything.
I thought it was a great angle that wasn't a pre-show angle. Like, that was
real
a
good TV
angle.
Should have been. It just should have been.
Yeah, stick that on Wednesday night there on Dynamite, and it would have, or Collision the following Saturday. It would have got over massive on Collision, because the Collision audience always loves the luchadors.
Yes. Yeah,
that
and they have been a way more part of the fabric of the show than
like, you know, if you're buying tickets for Collision, you're probably into your luchadors.
Yeah, and they've a good division there.
Yeah,
much like WWE do now.
They do.
And you know what they do with it is the thing.
Yeah, Dragon Lee got a good run out there yesterday.
What? Where? On SmackDown?
Yeah.
Dragon Lee. Axiom.
Sorry, Axiom. Yeah. He's not even a luchador, like he's
actually just a Spanish lad who's good at wrestling.
Yeah. He's deadly Spanish.
They put him in a fucking mask.
Yeah. Because he was a good-looking kid as a kid.
Hey kid.
He was like, hey kid, you're a good-looking kid. That's a bit Italian, was it?
He's looking
Actually, it's Paddy's weekend. We should team it a bit differently.
Yeah.
Speaking of Paddy's weekend,
cultural appropriation.
Speaking of Paddy's weekend, the show opened with Adam Page and MJF.
What's the Paddy's weekend link
There's no
there?
reference. I was doing a segue there.
He had an alcohol problem for a while.
Yeah. He liked whiskey.
Fighting a entitled young Jewish man.
Yeah.
How can we make this about us and some geopolitical event? No, you know what? It's like the big feud between basically since day one. They're
the two.
They're a hero and they're a villain.
Yeah.
In terms of like, you know, their homegrown talent and
connection to the audience.
And connection to the audience.
Yeah.
And 5 years in, they've decided for whatever reason, now's the time we're going to do a program to do that.
But you know what though? It's the perfect time.
It feels like
MJF
it is.
has
They
never
need stuff
needed,
like this.
Yeah, but MJF has never needed this more than he has right now.
Like that Hangman heel turn was really compelling, and they've turned him face. I feel way too early now again.
Do you think they turned him face, or did the audience just turn him face because they can't hate him?
Maybe they did, but I felt like I don't know what was the plan with this iteration of Adam Page, but it does feel like
it has happened quick because you think they're all out.
It should have taken a lot for that guy to turn heel, and it absolutely did, but it didn't. It took very little for him to turn face.
I like not the Christopher Daniels stuff.
Not that it's this black and white heel and face
black and
kind
white,
of fucking spectrum, and he's always kind of sat in this like lovely grey area, but. I guess particularly when you come up against MJF, you're going to be
face. Yeah.
You're going to be face.
I did like the kind of narrative he had because I know he burnt down Swerve's house.
Burnt down his co-worker's house.
Yeah.
He drank his co-worker's blood.
Yeah.
This guy he's not in a good place. Just in
the face.
In a fucking HR context. He's not been great to have around place the last year.
HR nightmare.
MJF not a saint in that department
and then
either.
He ended Christopher Daniels' career.
Which was kind of that was the turning point.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't the face turn. It was the moment.
And that was a great match on Collision.
The following up angle when Christopher Daniels told him that you've ended my career. That was the moment where
I think that was supposed to be the moment where you're like, oh, this is the face turn, the pivot.
You could see the pivot in him going, I've gone too far.
That being said, like they have been teeing it up with very little nice character details over the last couple of months where Hangman's done something particularly wicked and grotesque, and you can see that kind of flash of regret.
Yeah. Like
which
even after
he works hard to swallow
cage
back
match
down.
It all out.
Yeah.
When he looks back at what he's done and he kind of like, there's that moment of like,
you see that old empathetic Hangman.
Like, I can't believe I did this. And then he's like what you said, swallows it back down. I was like, I had to do this.
I had to do this.
Yeah. And then I think with the Christopher Daniels thing, it wasn't that he realised he didn't have to do this. He could have just beaten Christopher Daniels.
Yeah.
Instead, he ended his career by
brutalised that old man.
Yeah, he brutalised an old man. Great match.
This was a great match. I thought it did a lot for the story. I think there's a lot of gas in the tank.
There's so much gas in the tank. That was the one thing that was so obvious to me by both the build and the match.
Yeah.
That's not.
And I like that. You know, it was a pretty clean win for Hangman. They have great chemistry.
Yeah.
I mean, this is such a fucking stacked card with so many amazing matches. That's something that's as significant as this.
Yeah.
You know, gets kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit, and it doesn't really get lost. I think that's part of the reason why they put it on as the opener.
Yeah.
So we have maximum.
Also, MJF is the smartest man in all of wrestling.
You think he's the smartest in all of wrestling?
Well, like he always goes on first. Gets the big
he's
pop.
on the main event, but a lot of guys are like that.
Yeah, but it's always him when he's on the show. It's like he gets the opening pop, and like because there was times when he was world champion when he'd go on first and last. He got the opening and closing pop.
But I think that level of overexposure that he had during his world title reign contributed to that reign
massively
starting to tank.
Yeah,
started so strong. I mean, it was a year-long reign. It's hard to keep that ball in the air, but
and like I suppose. In hindsight, that Four Pillars double or nothing four-way match probably was a bit misguided as his first big title defense.
It was just the first time you're taking him out of a hot food. Fucking hungry now. Thinking about hot food, yeah. I love a fucking bolognese right now.
Bag of sausage rolls.
But he had consistently hot feuds.
He did have hot feuds.
and no doubt hot food. Up until that point, and it was a little bit forced. I understood why they did it, but
it would have been better suited as a MJF Darby singles match.
100%.
Yeah, like because Jack Perry and Sammy Guevara could not keep up with the two boys in terms of character stuff.
It's March 2025. Both of them are fucking dead in the water.
Yeah,
and they've been flatlining for a few years. To be fair,
like how long ago was that match? Less than 2 years ago.
Despite all the pushes that they've got, neither of them have had what you'd call a hot streak.
Yeah, whereas MJF and Darby
certainly not under their own steam.
No,
anything they've had has probably just been kind of residual. It's connected to the fucking Christian Cages or
CM Punks or
Luchasauruses.
Yeah. Or like for Sammy's guest, Cody.
Or like Inner Circle for a while,
Well, like the beginning of the Inner Circle was fantastic.
Great stuff, yeah.
And like Sammy got a lot of good shine off Jericho and then Cody later on.
Yeah.
So a lot of his like hot periods were connected to like a legit megastar across the ring or beside him.
So you say like maybe, okay, MJF has been a fighting champion. I mean, I'm not talking like, just in the on-screen way, but off-screen way, he wants to do programs that are going to help people and work with his peers. Now it feels like he's got a little bit more of a hand in his booking.
I think
Hangman's probably the same. So they've, very possibly elected to work with each other to a degree.
I would say that's a big part of it.
Because they both feel like they should be in the main event scene fairly regularly.
Yeah. Also, you could tell from this match, MJF went back to being the 80s heel. Like the way he was bumping and selling for Hangman, it was very much MJF's performance was very much designed to enhance Hangman as the face. Like,
yes,
I thought MJF played it exceptionally to give as much like credibility to face Hangman as he possibly could.
Yeah, and the fact that like even the 5 years of non-story that they've had, apart from that one match that they had at the very beginning of the promotion,
and when they were the last two in that first battle royal,
the first ever Dynamite dozen battle royal, and that was cool.
Yeah,
and then a match off the back of that, but there was nothing really. Not in
the full program together around.
No, and it wasn't even comprehensive in it, but it was very much teed up for future stuff. 5 years on, we're getting in now when I think the two of those guys need as hot a feud as possible.
And particularly for me, MJF needed.
I mean, Hangman's got a lot of momentum that he needs to keep, whereas MJM is actually weirdly for the first time in his AEW run, he needs to get his hot streak back.
Yeah,
because he's kind of lost it over the last year.
You think of like, I know a lot of people will laugh at me referencing the Wrestling Observer newsletter awards, but
I won't laugh at you.
Thanks, John.
Maybe. Go on. What are you going to say?
Like, they're voted by a lot of people. There's thousands of voters in it. And MJF has had the worst feud of the year 2 years in a row.
Okay,
and Cole both years. Like, that would eat away at someone like him. It would, like.
I don't think it's going to do Adam Cole any good either. And what must be sad for them is that was for a period of probably about 3 months one of the hottest things that was going.
It started super hot, like.
It didn't actually even start super hot. I think when
it got over like 2-3 weeks in.
I feel like that kind of two of them being best friends was like a course correct, but it took off like a motherfucker, and then they rode it way too hard for too long.
Yeah.
And then instead of like turbocharging that to lead into the main event of All In, they didn't.
The turn had to happen before.
And then they were like, because they were going, like they probably had that build eventually to World's End or whatever the fuck was going to be, or.
Then the injury happened.
I feel like the likelihood was that Adam Cole was going to be MJF for that title, for the world title.
I thought so, yeah. I thought that was the
but
plan.
Everything got fucked because both of them got injured.
Yeah. And then they
tried to keep. They were trying to run on fumes, and then it was dead. And then MJF as a babyface was starting to flatline around then. And thank God Joe saved us.
Joe did save us
and saved them boys and saved everything.
But like, I feel like MJF needed a hot feud. I thought he was brilliant in this match. That tombstone spot on the chair was one of the greatest spots.
I'd keep this running. I keep this running to Dynasty anyway. At the very least, I would
probably go to Double or Nothing with it.
Or actually, Double or Nothing, Like, and then they can have fresh feuds then going into the big show in Texas.
Exactly, yeah. I think you go to Double or Nothing with this. You could probably have MJF win the next match. And then they do like some sort of because they both will do crazy shit. You could do a crazy blow off Double or Nothing.
Yeah,
and I think that like in my fantasy booking brain, I'm thinking like we'll get to this later, but I hope Swerve wins the world title soon, and Hangman beating MJF at Double or Nothing could set up Swerve Hangman to main event All In Texas. Hangman being the Texas boy, you know what I mean?
He's not from Texas.
I don't know where he's from. He's a cowboy.
He's from West Virginia.
Texas, West Virginia.
Is it just a cowboy thing? You think that would have him over in Texas?
Yeah, massively.
But he's a particular type of cowboy. You know, he's an anxious millennial cowboy.
He is a millennial, and Texans hate millennials.
Texans are a different type of cowboy. I don't know. I'm sure there's other Texans that would.
Like Stan Hansen.
Stan Hansen isn't going to main event All In.
No.
Well, barring a miracle. Look, he's still going.
If we can get Stan Hansen versus Swerve.
Stan Hansen's probably about 80 now. I wouldn't take a lariat off
Stan
him.
Hansen was blind in his...
He was blind in his prime.
Yeah.
Like in his
And
late 30s.
He just swung the lariat and it was
Hope for the best.
it was up to you
Or not.
Yeah.
He was up for
It was up to you
like,
to do your thing after that. Like.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Anyway, you heard
that
it here
would be
first,
my
everyone.
thing.
Stan
Stan Hansen is main eventing All In Texas. Y'all in, as they're calling it. Y'all in.
Very good. If they ever do Youghal, County Cork, that's what they can call it.
Yeah. We should book a show in Youghal, County Cork, and call it Y'all In. And I have no
You heard it
matches
here
for
first, folks.
Stan Hansen is actually going to headline Y'all In Youghal County Cork. Second match, Sean.
Yeah, quickly moving along.
Mercedes Moné versus Momo Watanabe.
Wasn't the best match on the card. It wasn't a bad match by any means.
It's a fine match.
Thought they built a feud relatively well considering it's like it's an outside export. That being said, Tony's finished now with Mariah. Surely this would have been I think Mercedes has done as much as she can with that fucking belt. I feel like the only thing keeping it on her is the fact that she has so many belts.
Yeah.
So until her belt losing or belt gaining streak, ends, I feel like whatever the payoff is to that is she's gonna have the TBS title on her up until then. Yeah. But at this stage, I'd be surely grooming a successor to take that belt off her.
It's nearly time for her to move
let
in.
her go for the women's title.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And it's picking the right successor, I suppose, which is probably Willow anyway.
Feels like they're setting up Billy Starks, weirdly enough.
I would like that, but see, now
Athena fucking down in Ring of Honor for 700 days.
I think
so can we have Athena and fucking Mercedes?
The Billy Starks thing
is a lead in.
Is a lead into Athena.
That would be a good shout.
Yeah, that's what I think is the way they're going.
I think in terms of,
I think we're looking at All
bringing Athena back up to the main roster, and she's literally the only person who's segregated from the fucking rest of the roster.
Have her beat Mercedes at All In.
I think. Oh, and she's from Texas.
She's from Texas. That's why I think they're doing Billy Starks now. Because there is a huge, obviously, if you're watching Ring of Honor.
Oh, Morro, you got a good eye on that. Yeah. I mean, it is only 4 months away.
Yeah, but you do the Billy Starks thing. You build to that. That happens at Dynasty or Double or Nothing.
That's great. And then Mercedes is out of that division.
Yeah, and so at All In, then she goes against Athena because that would be a huge match,
massive.
And
I don't think I don't think they cross paths in WWE.
I don't think they've ever wrestled.
Because there was that thing when she was in his Ember Moon, this is a really good, potentially a really good foil for Sasha Banks.
And I don't think they've ever done a 1v1.
I don't think they
televised
have.
anyway. And
there's certainly never been any kind of a decent program that's been put together for them.
You think of the story going into that, right? You have the story in my mind would be something along the lines of Mercedes is undefeated in AEW in 15 months. Is on her 427th day. She's
looking for another belt, and she goes for the Ring of Honor title.
Yes, and Athena's coming in as the 900th day.
Yeah.
So you have these two champions.
That'd be massive, actually.
Ages.
Hey, fuck Stan Hansen. That could main event Texas.
That could main event Texas.
With the right build.
Yeah, that to me, that's just
Tony, do it.
Tony, do it.
Morro, that's great booking out of you.
Thank you. I'm playing my booking game around the clock.
But that is to say, okay, that's great because I didn't get a sense of what the direction was for Mercedes, but that actually with Billy in the mix, that makes so much sense.
In the mix, it clicked with me.
I really hope that's what they're doing because that sounds fucking class.
It does sound class.
Momo been in there as like a placeholder.
Perfect.
Great, it pays off their storyline from Stardom. It's more exposure for Stardom talent.
I found it hilarious that Momo was getting face chants halfway through the match. Like, she is Stardom's ultimate despicable heel.
Yeah. Oh man, she fucking rocked Mercedes.
Rocked her.
One of those knees. I was like,
yeah, I think Mercedes damaged eardrum.
I had one of those moments where I was just going like, oh fuck, they're gonna stop this match. Also, I'm scared.
Yeah, this is a Daniel Bryan concussion here. Like Momo hits hard. But do you know what I like about Mercedes is she loves hard hitting matches.
It's mad because particularly, even out of the Four Horsewomen, she was like, she had the slightest frame of the lot of them, and that she is a deceptively.
And she was the most technical wrestler of them all.
Yeah, she was definitely more like, I guess, a traditional kind of had a Japanese kind of build, I guess, to a degree.
But like, she seems to be the one most interested.
But then go over to Japan, and it's like, they do hit hard,
and like they did kick each other rather hard in that match. I enjoyed the match.
It wasn't the best, but again, I think it continued. And Mercedes kind of having a real good.
Like, the result is never in doubt.
Yeah, no, maybe not.
Yeah, like I just felt they're not putting the title.
I actually didn't know for sure. I was quite captivated by the match, and I did think that Momo might have a chance.
It was a
actually.
good match.
Like it wasn't the best match on the card. It would probably rank on the lower end for me, but perfectly solid.
It was a good match on what turned out to be an unbelievable card.
And I like to feel scared during matches, and I felt scared a couple of times for the safety of both the performers.
Do you know what I watched today? I watched Hijo El Santo versus Negro Casas match from September 97 in CMLL.
September 97?
Yeah.
Not
El Santo. Hijo El Santo.
Oh, Hijo El Santo. Sorry, I was like...
Yeah. That guy was... No, his son. And his legit son. His 11th child, actually. The only one that went into professional wrestling of El Santo's kids.
Interesting.
And they wrestled... one of them, I can't pronounce it, Puestos, whatever.
I'm not going to try, but I know what you're talking about.
The mask versus hair match.
Yeah.
Like, they were luchadors. I was expecting like a lucha classic. I'd heard this match was great. They kicked the living shit out of each other. Like, just straight up kneeing each other in the head and face. I was like, you go back and watch Stan Hansen cutting lads' heads off over in Japan. I was like, this might be the scariest match I've ever seen.
On this card, there was a lot of matches that felt like they were going to be the scariest match I've ever seen. And this one, I mean, like the TBS title match was actually kind of one of them when I was watching it. Yeah. And this trend continued for the rest of what was a hyper-violent pay-per-view.
And I have a thing about that I'll get to later, but in the right match. Swerve versus Ricochet.
Solid, serviceable.
Excellent.
Moved angle around.
Yeah.
Ricochet still cooking, set Swerve up as the new number one contender, which is great.
And they both look great.
They both look great. You know what? Ricochet's been doing so well.
Swerve is the guy, though. He kind of
is the guy, isn't he? You could really, I know what happened to the main event here, but post main event, the reaction that he got, I think they're kind of tricking themselves by thinking Darby's the next guy,
and
Swerve, and he's not. And I even felt like Darby's behind even Hangman in that list of people to throw Moxley and beat the top guy.
And I think
Swerve is actually
Swerve's number one.
I think Swerve's number one. Yeah,
he's just stone cold. Like, he just has something about him.
Yeah,
like. He just comes across as, and like his character work is so good.
Yeah.
Like, who could you see better dissecting the Death Riders one by one?
I'd love to see that.
And knocking off Mox at the end.
Yeah.
Swerve's character makes the most sense because he has that cerebral thing, the dangerous thing, the tough thing. Like, he has it all, like.
His manager does a funny dance.
And his manager does a funny dance. Because he swerves when he drives. Don't do that at home, kids. Don't swerve when you drive. That's stupid, actually.
It's actually a bad move, yeah. But, like, Swerve kind of...
They got the Jimmy Rave jacket back.
They got the Jimmy Rave jacket back.
The embassy is alive and well.
Swerve has been treated... Since he left main events after Bryan Danielson bet him at All In... Like, they've kept him pretty hot. They've kept him in feuds that have been serviceable for him.
The good Bob, we had the Hangman thing obviously first.
Yeah.
Then he took some time off. Storyline injury, not real injury.
Good short term bit of business with MVP and Bobby Lashley.
That was really
good. Which,
I
mean, if Swerve wins back the title, that's
a great feud to go to.
Bobby coming for him is going to be hot.
Yeah. Because, by then, Bobby can re-enter the singles division out of the tag division. And Bobby Swerve would be hot. Then the stuff with Ricochet, like, my God, talk about like unearthing something within Ricochet that nobody thought he had. Like character work, microphone
You're
stuff.
talking about a guy scrolling the internet and looking at fucking Andrew Tate videos and being like,
I could do that. I should do that.
I should do that. That'll be my gimmick now.
I finally get
I'll
it.
put on a pair of glasses now and I'll start kind of like being real fucking toxic.
And like, he's doing it brilliantly.
He actually is, yeah. He's doing a good job. And
like, I think a big thing for me, right, when WWE wrestlers come over to AEW, and this plays into the main event as well, there's some who thrive and some who don't. The ones who thrive are the ones who take bold risks to disassociate themselves to what they were before.
Yeah. But also, crucially, I find that it's guys who need to do that.
True.
Like, Ricochet needed that. Swerve went through, like, in that fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin way as well, like, Swerve went through a couple of, like,
alterations to
the act as soon as he landed, but they stuck with him and let him evolve it
and
alongside them, and they got the winning combo.
Yeah, like, again, it's, when he started to pair up with Hangman, you just saw, like, he just elevated to, like, an unbelievable level. Like, I'm not saying it's because of Hangman, but the both of them, because he was going into a high-profile singles feud with a former world champion who was kind of really one of the pillars. I know they have the 4 pillars thing, but Hangman's one of the pillars of the company.
Yeah.
Swerve was going to get the TV time to show the development and show his range and show what he could do. And that led to him, like, them going, put the world title on this guy.
He got sufficiently hot enough now, and I think the feud with Ricochet has been really good.
Really, and like, it didn't matter. It hasn't hurt Ricochet one iota
bit
that he lost that feud.
Yeah, no,
he actually came out stronger.
I'd be teeing Ricochet up for for Danny Garcia's belt. I'd be teeing Ricochet up for a feud with Kenny now.
I do hope that's what the direction they go. I know you could go Bailey.
I hope it is. Yeah,
you could go Speedball. That'd be a great match. But I think Kenny Ricochet, this version of Ricochet,
I think it'd be good business.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
and he can lose that as well.
Yeah,
like, Ricochet can be a guy who loses tremendous pay-per-view matches all the time and never gets cold.
No, I think if he keeps the gimmick hot and he keeps evolving it,
and like, he gets decent wins on TV.
Yeah,
like, he beat Shibata there. He'll beat Shibata tonight on TV,
and just keep him in the mix with the main event players.
And because, like, the matches are going to be so good that he'll never get cold from losses.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to give him the odd win here and there, like you said. Have him go after Daniel Garcia's belt, maybe a 2-3 month reign there. I think that TNT title needs to be on TV more and being passed around more.
That
doesn't have to be a long reign title.
It needed to be on this fucking pay-per-view is what it needed. Like, the fact that it wasn't is just bullshit. Like.
Yeah, Danny Garcia. Well, I suppose he did headline Collision.
I know maybe you don't want the extra match, but at the same time, then if you don't have to fucking if you don't have the room for the belts, we definitely have too many belts now, lads.
Yeah, well, I think we can see a direction going with a couple of belts here,
which we'll get into.
Yeah, which we can probably get into right now.
Let's do it.
Kazuchika Okada versus Brody King.
Well, so the first of those belts is completely surplus to requirements. Yeah. Is the fucking Continental belt.
Yeah.
Like, the tournament is great,
fantastic.
Let it be a ceremonial belt, much like the beloved WWE fucking
King of the Ring
Crown Jewel title. But, like, no, let it be a ceremonial thing and everybody wins it every year. Or if not,
it's a trophy instead of a belt.
We don't need that and the international title.
No, one or the other.
They are going to unify them.
Unify them both.
And I think the new belt is going to be the thing that the Continental Classic is based around, which it should be. And then it should also be the belt that's defended in other promotions throughout the world.
Yeah,
which is what it should be.
Both.
And then it will become the secondary belt.
Yeah,
I don't think there'll be any
intercontinental title.
And
proper one.
On that note, it's the international title and
the continental title.
They are going to call it the intercontinental.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Please just keep the lineage of the two belts, because the two belts have
great
lineage.
Great lineages.
And the Continental Classic is too big. It's only Eddie Kingston and Okada, but still.
Absolutely perfect.
But they got through those tournaments, so like all of the lineage of the tournaments need to feed into it.
International titles lineage is, who's the first winner of it?
When it was the all Atlantic title, and Pac won that, which he very quickly defended in OTT up in the complex,
and he
which was
defended
great
it in England as well.
Yeah, was it Rev Pro?
Rev Pro, I believe. I think it was Rev Pro. He eventually lost it to Orange Cassidy, who had a tremendous run.
Great, and then it was renamed the international title somewhere along the line. There
went to Mox. Went to Phoenix
by accident. Phoenix had it for about 2 or 3 weeks. Then back to
defense.
Then they go back to Mox. They went
back to Orange Cassidy.
Back to Orange,
who had a good run with it again.
Roddy Strong had a good run with it.
Yes. And then it went to someone before Takeshita.
Before Takeshita, it was obviously like MJF and Ospreay went back and forth. Whether it was the American title last year.
Yeah. Ospreay beat Roddy Strong. MJF won it for a short period. Ospreay won it back. Takeshita won it in the 3-way with Ospreay and Ricochet. And then now Kenny has it.
Takeshita had second longest run with it. He's done a good job with that belt, actually.
I know, I hear people complaining, he hasn't defended it that much. But he actually defended it about 4 times in Japan. And twice on the
Maple Leaf up in Canada. Yeah.
So I know, he hasn't been defending on AEW Teddy.
No, but he's doing the thing that belt needs to do.
Yes,
And
that's the travelling belt.
And he's there on television when you need him to be. And it's been no less invisible than the fucking TNT title now.
No, it's actually been more visible. And like, yes, a lot of his defenses happened outside AEW, but he defended it in the Tokyo Dome twice.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's awesome for your title.
It's going to be Kenny Okada at All In. It's going to be the unification match.
Yeah.
That's what we're...
And
that's like the one match that I'd be sure of. It's going to happen on that card.
I just think, looking now at if certain directions are happening that I think they're kind of foreshadowing, that card is going to be outrageously stacked.
You think so?
I think so, yeah.
What else do you think we're going to see on that?
Obviously, Sasha and Athena.
Yeah, your pitch for that is solid.
I think something like Swerve versus Hangman for the title. Now, the other one could be Mox versus Darby for the title, which is a lot less stacked than Swerve Hangman. And I think...
What's your main...
I'm wondering in terms of, like, the Bucks will be back by then.
Bucks and the Hurt Syndicate could be a thing.
That could be great. I'd love to see... Lance Archer's from Texas, I believe, isn't he?
I'd like to see him get a good...
Him and Brian Cage versus the Hurt Syndicate. Because
big meaty match.
They built that for this pay-per-view, and I felt like last minute they decided... No, this pay-per-view isn't the right place for it. Yeah. It'll get lost in the shuffle. So that's why they did the Outrunners match.
Yeah. Like honestly, if I'm dream booking this, if you're keeping the belt on Moxie up until then, like Moxie Dustin Rhodes is what Texas Bull Rope match. Fucking give Dustin Rhodes a run at the world title. Like
the only thing is with this style of
I do hope that I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't see Dustin beating Jericho for the Ring of Honor World title, which would actually
I think that will happen. Oh well, I don't think he'll beat Jericho for it, but I do think he'll hold the Ring of Honor title before.
I hope he does, just to give him a world title.
I think he will before he retires.
No, but I'd love to see it happen there, though. And I'd love to see the Von Erichs having a really big shine. And
I have a feeling that they'll be on the card in some capacity.
The Von Erichs will definitely be on the card. And I think they'll find something constructive for them to do.
I think so, yeah. I think they'll be on the card in some capacity anyway. And then, Okada versus Brody. I actually really like this match.
Yeah, solid. Again, wasn't the best match on the card, but
it was never going to be.
It's a stellar card. Yeah, you know.
And but it had that thing. I felt like Okada had his working boots on, not in terms of like doing his super high pace, intricate stuff,
or like sweating,
but taking a beating. He took a fucking beating.
He did. He took a hammering.
There's a lot of times where if he's against a guy that he doesn't really have much respect for, he just goes through the motions and allows the match to happen, and then doesn't take any heavy bumps. But he bumped his arse off and took heavy chops.
This little mini feud between Okada and the Hounds, the Dog Boys.
Now they're guys that could do you could really push the shit out of in the tag division
with them and like Cage and Archer and the Hurt Syndicate. Like that's a fucking. It's the most enticing the tag team division has been in a long time.
You've got 90s All Japan tag division there. You know what I mean?
That's kind of what you want.
Yeah, big lads.
Do that for a while, lads. Let it cook.
Let that cook for 6-7 months.
Yeah,
you can always go back in the direction of the flippier stuff later if you want.
You absolutely.
Because just the tag team division fell into being the flippy division for a long time.
For way too long.
And it was great, but it just happened for too long.
Yeah,
you know, it peaked quite early with the Young Bucks Lucha Bros stuff, and then it was diminishing returns after that.
Yeah, and I think this. I think the are we on to the tag match now? Can we talk about the tag match? Is that the next match? In fact,
no, I think there's one in between, wasn't there? No, it was the next match. Yeah.
So Lashley and Benjamin against the Outrunners.
Troop Magnum and Turbo Flight.
Was an amazing match, but I really liked it as a piece of booking. I love the fact that we've got there's a tag match that's happening between the new tag team champions and arguably the hottest tag team.
Yeah.
Who aren't up to maybe a good 15-minute, fucking 20-minute match here.
They don't have to be.
And they don't need to win right now because they're probably not ready to win.
They're not ready.
You're plugging them in while it's hot.
Yeah.
They've earned the spot.
Massively earned the spot.
It's an easy win for the Hurt Syndicate over a popular team, which the popular team aren't going to lose anything from. And crucially, to my mind, it's one tag team against another tag team in a program that they've built between the two tag teams for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and
it's not like another fucking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tag teams. Just been fucking plugged into it for the sake of the card.
And also, it kept the storyline of Archer and Cage going.
It did. They're still in the mix.
They were still kept in the mix by virtue of the storyline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they lost nothing either. Yeah, they had their first loss as a tag team, but the way that was done on TV was basically that was done to signal that the match with Hurt Syndicate is happening, just not right now.
Exactly, yeah. Like, this match would not be in the pantheon of great AEW Classic pay-per-view tag team matches, but it was perfectly serviceable.
Came in the middle of the card.
Crucially for me, it kept the tag team belts strong and kept the division strong.
I think they're such great tag team champions, Lashley.
They're brilliant. They're actually they're exactly what they need right now. Like, they really are.
It's like when they went that direction, I know like Private Party's title reign just died a death, and not totally their own fault. Like, there's a lot of bad booking in there. Yeah. But it did die a death, and then Tony made a good pivot of going, do you know who'll rehab these titles now? Lashley and Benjamin.
And that's exactly what it needs.
And that was like grand match. Like, in some ways I thought should have just squashed him in 4 minutes. I don't even do the hop spot.
Yeah.
Like, in my head I was like, just do 4 minutes. Squash the shit out of them. But I know they're popular, and I know they like.
And they do want to keep them on the boil a bit.
I know,
like.
and that's probably the right decision. I was just in my mind, Lashley and Benjamin just go out, do 2 power slams.
No, I just wouldn't do that stuff. Like, that's TV stuff, you know.
Yeah, it is.
I'd lay it off pay-per-view.
And it turned out that the match was actually pretty good.
Still, they look dominant. They bit the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
They hurt people.
They did. And that's what they're called, the Hurt Syndicate. They just go around hurting people.
They just hurt people. Emotionally,
and
physically.
MVP is just, like, unbelievable.
Great manager, great talker.
Super manager.
Yeah.
Like, I think he could be a staple of AEW. Like,
I've said it before, but I do think he's the closest thing to Paul Heyman outside of Paul Heyman.
Yeah,
like,
and
in a long-term sense.
Recently that I'm not a fan of Paul Heyman's current work at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a little bit hokey or something.
I agree.
Thank you. So to me, MVP is in a position actually where he's been given the mic time, and he's been given the stable of wrestlers where he could actually be the premium manager in all of wrestling. So he's in a great spot.
I agree.
And like, if I'm him, I don't go back to WWE for at least 5 years.
No.
I ride this till the time has come.
I think he should at least see out his wrestling days in AEW, you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And I know he's not going to have a lot that he wants to do necessarily.
He'll do 6-man tags every 3 or 4 months. You know what I mean? And that's perfect. Because he did the one and he did look a bit banged up. But he's just old and he's had it, like, you know. John, we're into an absolute barn burner of a match here. Toni Storm defeats Mariah May in 12 minutes, 56 seconds. By God, did they pack a lot into 13 minutes.
I was glued to every aspect of this match.
Mesmerised.
Like, this was the blow-off match in a exceptionally long, well booked, intricately plotted feud that's had wonderful character development and so many great moments.
Can I ask you a question? Is this the best women's feud ever televised in North America?
I think, in my opinion, it's probably the best mainstream women's feud. Yeah. Actually, possibly the best overall. Like, if you're going by Meltzer, criteria, like the fact that he gave this 5 stars and it's the first women's 5-star match outside Japan says a lot.
Yeah.
I think it was just, I mean, the match in itself was great, but
fantastic.
How the match was structured to pay off all the various elements of the feuds, and also just the nature of it being like, do you have to kill each other now? Like,
they have to kill each other.
It's a blood feud. It's the end of a blood feud.
Yeah.
You knew it was going to be violent. The way the levels of violence, the amount of fucking blood.
There was a moment there, I think you could see it in Toni Storm, where she obviously did her blade job, and she was like, fuck, that's a lot of blood. I wasn't really expecting this much blood.
She juiced a gusher, as they say.
A gusher, like it was Eddie Guerrero gusher.
He was like Eddie, that Eddie Guerrero level, like that, like the absolute crimson mask
John
aspects
Cena,
of it.
Like, you know, like it was
worrying at times, but like they kept going and they kept pounding each other even more and more violence. And then I forgot about that table on the ramp, and I was like, well, of course, this fucking thing's gonna come back into play. What's gonna happen here? But truly fantastic. Like,
it was mesmerizing.
Riveting.
Yeah, riveting. I was just like, I cannot believe. I knew it was going to be violent. And there was just, that moment where Tony... I think what plunder matches is, and where so often they fall down is, and where I had the complaints about the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn one recently, which was also given 5 stars, which I thought was pretty crap, was it didn't feel natural. And I thought what Tony and Mariah did was they injected these brilliant character moments into the areas of the plunder match that has been used as a setup for the next spot. So it tied together. You know, because plunder matches kind of fall apart when, all right, they're just setting up the next spot now.
Yeah.
But you know that one where they're wrapping their hands in? And it zooms in a close-up on Toni, and she's like, let's fucking go, bitch. And it does zoom in on Mariah, and she's like, oh, I really have to do this, don't I?
It's like, shit, we have to do it.
Oh, no, like... And I just thought it was like, they used those moments of setup as actually, like, character exposition.
Yeah, just to kind of set up the motivations of the character or like just the emotional state of where they were. And you could see, I mean, that was the thing they got across really well throughout the feud, is particularly on Toni's end, just like the kind of love and affection that Toni had for her versus like how...
where they are now.
And Mariah, even at times, there's elements of it where you can see, there is something genuine there, but like
her own
she
personal
just drowns it in ambition and like
ambition,
the desire
like,
to be the number one. So it's just fantastic, like, just dramatic stuff.
Dramatic, like.
And then they ended with this amazing, like, you know, the visual of like the end coming up,
which I felt coincidentally actually should have gone on last, and that should have been the last thing we saw on the whole show.
It would have been a fitting main event. I think this is one of the shows that they still haven't finished on a women's main event in 5 years. And this was the one that they could have done it.
This was the time, I think, especially with the,
I think it's a shit opportunity to miss, you know.
I feel like it was a missed opportunity
because they haven't had a bigger women's feud. Like Toni and Mercedes down the line could maybe do this in a year, but like,
they could, yeah.
It has to be booked as well as this because the emotional buy-in from the audience is fucking huge.
And like there was times throughout this feud where I was like, this isn't really my scene, but they're doing it so well that I'm interested. And just like this, the story just took you on such a great journey.
It's a great journey, great finish to it. I think, you know, if we were going to...
It surprised me several times, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, the night Mariah turned on her with the shoe for the first time.
After she won the Own Heart.
After she won the Own Heart. Like, in my head, it's like, we all know the turn is coming. Like, that's obvious. But the way they did it on that night, like, everyone expected a turn 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, 2 weeks later. Not right then. And even like
as soon as she had the title shot, that was it.
Turned stabbed her in the forehead.
Yeah,
and the shoe came back into it.
The shoe had a great payoff. Yeah. Luther took a bump, took a really big bump. They paid off so many different elements of it.
It really tied the room together.
Genuinely was cinema.
It was cinema.
Like 2 thumbs up. Yeah,
I was like, and it was a match that like going into the show I wasn't particularly. Like it wasn't one of the 3 or 4 matches where I was like, I can't wait for this match on Sunday night. But after the show, I was like, I think that's my favorite.
I think it was me too. It was match of the night for me. Yeah, absolutely,
excellent,
emotional journey. And then who had to follow it? Kenny Omega.
Yeah, no better man. No better man.
But in fairness, like, it's like that's why, you know, he's in that spot because if anyone can do it here, because I think most of the male performers on that roster would have struggled to follow that match, which again is another argument why that match should have been a main event.
I think there's 2 that can follow it, maybe 3. I only think Kenny and Will are the only guarantees that can follow it. I think they're the only 2.
Kenny and Konosuke Takeshita had another wonderful match, as they do. Kenny still selling all those gut shots.
Guts. His guts are tangled to bits.
Like, they were like dropping him stomach first on the fucking side of an upturned table.
That looked really sore. Like for someone who hasn't had some of his guts cut out.
And like he's had them cut out recently.
Yeah, like what, 6 months ago?
Like Brock wasn't doing that shit for fucking years.
Years.
You know?
Just a tremendous wrestling match.
Kenny is just a great pick for the international title right now. Like the main secondary title, he becomes the first Grand Slam champion.
Yeah,
which is
the right person for it.
Right person for it in AEW. Yeah, perfect. I'm really looking forward if he's doing like challenge of the week type shit now as well.
Yeah. Like it looks like he's either going to be defending, in my opinion, against Ricochet or Mike Bailey at Dynasty. Either match.
Ricochet should be the direction. I feel
Ricochet, yeah.
Unless Ricochet is going after Danny Garcia, which he also should do.
Something happens and they not pivot, but.
I think the AEW TNT title could really do a fucking
Ricochet. Yeah. Could do with a Ricochet.
Danny has unfortunately not. Yeah, to the point where he's not been put on the fucking cards and no one's
He's just on Collision.
He's just on Collision.
Yeah.
Working, like, doing trio shit.
Yeah.
So give someone else the TNT title.
And he had, his match with Adam Cole there on Collision for the TNT title was great a couple of weeks ago, but it was clashing with Elimination Chamber and nobody knew it happened.
Yeah.
You know what I
It
mean?
barely registered for
Barely
me.
registered. Like, it was on the same night as John Cena turns fucking heel. Like, you know.
Well, yeah, lads.
Probably in the
Not that
same
you'd know in
time slot.
advance.
Like, it's probably in the same time slot. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, fuck that.
And yeah, it just doesn't register.
Oh,
so
yeah, Kenny's right move here. I'm looking forward to seeing all
like,
of the japes that he gets up to before he inevitably faces Okada in Texas this summer.
and you know, obviously the direction. Kenny and Okada are going to be kept unbelievably strong, both of them, until Texas. And then we get the 5th match of the greatest series of wrestling matches of all time. Yeah. Like, I don't know, can these... Like, the one thing you do know, both of them are going to be highly, highly motivated for that match. I think that's what Okada needs. And like you wonder, like I suppose the kind of hook for this match is, do these guys still have it 8-9 years on?
Also, the greatest match of all time for the first time in America.
Yeah,
it is the first time.
It is.
It?
Yeah. The original plan. Remember when New Japan and Ring of Honor did the Madison Square Garden show just before, or it was announced before AEW was set up, but it happened after, and all the guys were already signed. So the original plan there was Okada versus Omega in America. And I think they went with Okada Jay White because Omega had signed with AEW. So it'll be the first time on American soil.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
And it is, like, still, to my mind, the pick a match. Like, you have their main trilogy. You know, I know they did the G1 match, which was fantastic as well. But, like, of their main trilogy for the world title, 1, 2, or 3, you could pick any one of them and tell me that's the greatest wrestling match of all time. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
Like, we're going to get more of it. I'm really excited to see
really
it.
excited.
The idea of that being the unification match is, I think, tasty as fuck.
Yeah, and like, my God, like, for anyone who never, you know, if you're new to wrestling, if you're a bit younger than us old bastards, and you've never seen Omega versus Okada, or you've just been kind of in the American wrestling thing, go out of your way, watch the 3 matches, and they're just incredible.
Works of art.
Works of art, like, and I cannot wait. Because, like, I think, obviously, right, neither of them are going to be physically what they were 2016, 17, 18. But I think we're still going to be served, like,
but they'll look back at their previous matches and they'll put together, they go, okay, like, how have we evolved? How does this feed into that?
Yes.
How can we repurpose this sequence? How can we call back
that
this?
through the matches.
Yeah.
Do you know the Dragon Sleeper
The
off the top?
structuring and the nuances and the detail they put into it is...
Like, that Dragon Suplex off the top in the first match, and how that played into every other match.
Every subsequent match.
It was like everything was
So
connected.
we're going to see stuff that kind of evolves from that, and I think it's going to be
like
great.
The icon, like one of what I think is one of the greatest pieces of storytelling in wrestling history is the first match, or the second match, an hour in, 59 minutes in, Okada goes for the Rainmaker, and Kenny is so tired he just collapses underneath.
Yeah.
And he misses it, and Okada goes flying across the ring because he's missed the move and he can't get back in time to pin him, and the match goes to a draw.
Yeah.
And then in the third match, the whole thing, Kenny building his cardio, and at the hour mark, Okada goes for the Rainmaker and he collapses into Kenny with no strength in him, and he just slides down his body and slumps. And Kenny's there going, yeah, I have it, my cardio paid off, like, you know. Fucking brilliant. Like,
I could see an hour in Texas, who knows?
Fuck, give me an hour in Texas. I just don't think AEW would book an hour long match on a show like that.
No.
But
you'll get
some 30 minutes.
Yeah.
They'll go 30 minutes, like, and it'll be an all-time classic, guaranteed.
Yeah.
And then we go into Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher.
Speaking of 30-minute matches, but
Will Ospreay beats Kyle Fletcher in an all-timer again.
Like, I don't know if this feud necessarily needed a cage, but at the same time, I was
needed something.
It needed something, but also at the same time, I think the cage lends itself to it because you're like, oh, these 2 guys in a cage.
Yeah, these 2 guys are okay.
2 guys who haven't got to do a ton of cage matches.
No. I'd say Will has done 1, I think.
Like,
in from what I've seen him in 1.
you could see, you could sense for them as performers how excited they were.
Yeah.
To do a cage match.
Those 2 get it. They just started the match by creating this iconic image of the 2 of them facing off across.
Stand on either side from the top of the cage.
And then you get
great bit of business.
And like Ospreay, like his timing of when he raises his hands for the Ospreay, and in perfect synchronicity, Fletcher just puts his fingers in his ears. Just looked such a beautiful image to him, and then they just proceeded to murder each other.
Then again, just serious violence, lots of weapons. Mark Davis had a nice little role in it.
Yeah, I have one issue with this match.
Is it Mark Davis having a nice little role in it?
Yeah, partially, right? That's actually kind of...
I was hoping they wouldn't do interferences in the cage, and it did happen a little bit too.
And because then the Punk and Rollins did the cage match the following night, and that featured outside interference as well. As like, lads, can somebody...
This is the point of a cage match.
Yeah, can somebody protect the fucking cage match?
If you need the interference, you should be doing a different type of match.
Do a street fight or whatever, you know? Stop ruining cage matches every wrestling promotion. Like, if you look at the history of cage matches, there was 2 traditional reasons for a cage match. One was in the WWF booking was this dirty heel is getting locked in the cage.
Where they can't cheat.
Yeah, they can't cheat and they can't run away from Bruno.
Yeah.
Because inevitably they got themselves counted out in the previous match.
It will be Bruno who's putting a hammer on him.
Yeah, and Bruno's going... They're
Pedro Morales and Bob Backlund to a lesser degree, but mostly Bruno.
It was mostly Bruno. And this guy has been trying to, like, get out of... he got counted out versus Bruno the last time we were in Madison Square Garden. But now we're putting him in a cage, so you know Bruno's going to batter this guy and he's going to pin him 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
They actually did the escape the rules, but the escaped cage rules for a win. But the way they did it with Bruno, like now Rollins the other night gets pulled out of the cage, and he wins because he got pulled out of the cage. Oh, dumb shit. But what you'd see with Bruno back in the day was Bruno would murder someone, and then he would strut calmly out.
What? He would just exit the cage. Yeah,
nobody can stop me. I've beaten this guy to a pulp, and I'm just going to walk out. And Bruno looked like the Don of New York doing that.
Yeah.
Like. Then, you know, in Southern wrestling, the cage match was, you know, the heels stablemates keep interfering and they're going to be locked out.
We need to keep those fucking freebirds out.
Keep the freebirds out. Yeah, literally. Keep
those fucking 4 horsemen out.
Or the 4 horsemen. And, you know, JJ Dillon will be trying everything he can to get something into the cage and he can never do it. And Dusty finally wins.
It was a little bit too easy. I thought it was well integrated with Mark Davis. I like that they're still keeping him part of the storyline because
I have one issue.
Kind of should be.
With the Davis thing, right? So Davis comes in with the big bag of plunder. And, like, don't get me wrong, when they pulled out the barbed wire baseball bat and started absolutely ripping each other's foreheads to shreds, I popped. But you know, later in the match, Kyle goes up the cage and he finds the Don Callis family screwdriver that's been used against Will and used against Kenny, and the impact of him finding the screwdriver was lessened because, boys, there's a bag of tools in the ring that you've just been beating each other with.
Yeah.
If there had been no weapon up to that point.
How are we supposed to be impressed by a screwdriver that you've had no trouble sneaking into any fucking ring for the last year?
Yeah, like it should have been a thing of like, Joni climbs up and it's hidden at the top of the cage and he gets the screwdriver. It's like, oh, these bastards have done it again. This fucking screwdriver's coming back to ruin this match. And then it gets turned on them, you know?
Yeah.
But the screwdriver didn't have the impact it could have had. I know that's super nitpicky.
Well, it's hard when you've got that level of violence, you know, and there's like fucking,
blood,
you know,
everywhere.
He's doing fucking like, you know, fucking thumbtacks onto his dick spots. Like
that was fantastic, actually.
It was great, but Jesus, it looked bad.
It did look sore.
And I mean, that's great because you're being kayfabe then because I'm going like, how is this man not have a fucking punctured sack here? Thumbtacks.
I could never be a wrestler, John, because what happens if I got something in my eye during a match?
Yeah.
Like, stop thumbtacking my dick.
Yeah, want to fucking, want to stand on Hanson's arms.
Yeah, right in your eye. But like, yeah, fucking great match, and that Spanish fly off to
I felt like it ultimately did warrant it being a steel cage match because they pulled out all the stops. They did something new. I feel like it is the last chapter in this feud.
Yeah, for now. Like, look, that's a thing that they'll probably have a massive world title feud in 3 years' time.
Yeah. Great.
And it'll be fantastic. And Kyle will be even more polished. That guy's like 24 years of age.
I think he's a little older, but man, he's like, he's bulked up so much. The look is good. He's so good in the mic.
Like, he went through his skinny years, he went through his pudgy years, and now he's like...
all.
Yeah, well, I never really had skinny years. I'm checking his age. Maybe I thought he was younger than he is.
But he's really evolved into like a potential main event heel.
26,
26, man.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. He's still 2 years younger than MJF.
Yeah. Like, and yeah, he is at a main event heel level now. Like,
Yeah, it'll be the programs that he's going to have now with people who are not his close friends and consistent collaborators.
Yeah, we'll see. Like
when he starts getting put into programs with the Hangmans and
there's another guy that could
Jericho's
could do something with the TNT title.
He would do a lot more than Danny Garcia.
Yeah.
He'd be a great runner for that title right now. Yeah.
Like, you build a little division there of Kyle Fletcher, Ricochet. You can put Garcia in it, a couple of others, Kyle O'Reilly and stuff. Like a Kyle Fletcher, Kyle O'Reilly match could be a low-key banger, like, you know what I mean?
I think there's good trio stuff that could be done with him as well if you're just trying to keep him on the boil. Like, don't overexpose him too much, but also, be aware of the fact that you've kind of created a fucking, like a good main event heel now.
And
so
something the fans believe in.
Use him in strategic positions to maximize that and not overexpose him.
And like, so
while he's still obviously
wonder what Will goes on to next.
What does Will go on to next?
He's declared for the own anyway, so it's Will Ospreay in the tournament. I'm sure he's going to win it.
Like it's like, in fairness, I know we complain about Moxley's reign, but there's so many viable challengers for Moxley in hot potential feuds and programs that have not really been done before.
Yeah, I think we're going down the direction of not instantly, because I think we're probably going to get Jay White versus Cope first, but I think we're going in the direction of an Ospreay Jay White feud.
Can't say that. It get me too excited now.
I've seen it before.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, Will going there, Mox wouldn't be a bad idea. But
the last time we seen White and Ospreay was Jay White actually weirdly felt way hotter than Ospreay at the time, whereas Ospreay feels like megastar hot levels now.
Jay White is floundering. And this stuff that he's doing with Cope isn't helping him.
No.
Main event like this.
It could be the thing of like, the way we were saying at the start about MJF needing the Hangman feud. Jay White might need an Ospreay feud to ignite him.
Maybe he needs a turn, and he needs some kind of consistent character beats as well.
Yeah.
The flippy floppy stuff, heel to face, isn't working as well.
Look, Jay White is a great wrestler, but he's not good as a babyface. He's a fucking arrogant heel.
He's a great heel.
Like, look at them abs. Nobody wants to cheer for a guy with abs.
Yeah, he should say that. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just because like. Maybe they felt they needed an extra face for Cope to go with, but like you could have just put Danny Garcia into that slot and it would have been
easily.
And you're giving more spotlight to the TNT title. Yeah. You're paying off stuff that you've actually got inbuilt with Moxley and Garcia and Garcia and the rest of them.
Garcia and Danielson going
and
back,
Utah as well. Like that's ideally how you should be doing it, rather than putting someone into the spot who's like
doesn't feel really connected to it.
Doesn't feel connected. Doesn't feel warranted. Is playing a lukewarm version of their heel character.
Yeah.
When did they turn face? I can't even fucking remember. How did they turn face? Doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's all a bit of a mess. But Cope going into this match, definitely more so, like we talk about the challengers, the Jay Whites, the Ospreys, the Swerves, all the people that are playing Darby, Hangman, people who are lining up to take down Mox. Cope definitely felt like the one where it's like, this isn't happening. It might, but it's probably not happening.
Yeah, I never felt it was happening.
And I think they did it at the right time in terms of, these are two huge stars, former WWE champions who've never had a one-on-one match, never had a feud. They've done a pretty decent job, as much as you can do with...
I thought, to be perfectly honest, right, this thing was cold, 5 weeks out, 4 weeks out. I thought Cope actually did a good job getting a bit.
I think he did a really good job.
Yeah.
He really
did. To be fair to him, I thought he did it.
He was just going out every show doing these cracking promos. And he was like, that man has been working so fucking hard.
Yeah. Like he injected serious life into something that had gotten cold.
Yeah,
and look, I wasn't tremendously excited.
It wasn't the best match on the card by any means, but I enjoyed it tremendously. It advanced a couple of stories.
Do you know what? Like, it got shit on online for 3 days straight after it. It wasn't as bad as people were making it out to be. It wasn't a great main event. I do think they're going back to it on Dynamite next week in a Falls Count Anywhere, Street Fight something. I think that'll be good. But yeah, like it was just the wrong match in the wrong spot with the wrong guys. Actually,
yeah,
they were never going to be able to follow.
It was that feud done as a main, a main event, world title feud. Did it at the right time. I was like happy to see those two guys finally work a program together. Yeah, it's done now. It will be done now.
Pretty good.
Yeah, they got a bit of juice into it. Mox's reign has been a bit uninspiring, and that's because of the fucking like lack of definition in the character motivations.
Yeah.
And
You said this from the start.
but I do feel that
and do you
Mox,
know,
Mox has had a load of creative control, and he's a very creative
much, I
guy.
think.
But somebody needs to be going, dude, like
We need to like define this.
you need to. Well, what's the drive here? It's kind of getting to new world order levels of messiness. Like it had a very clear trajectory when he was going, I'm launching war on all of the fucking
guys who never stepped
all
up.
the guys who've never stepped up.
Yeah.
If you're a world champion from WWE, don't come fucking near me. You've earned your spot.
Yeah.
We can have a different conversation. But this is for the Darbys and the Hangmans and the Orange Cassidys and the Jay Whites and the fucking all the way throughout the
All
roster.
you guys who never stepped up.
Who've never stepped up. How come you've never won a world title? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you could have fed him a lot of people.
Danny Garcia.
That's your Danny Garcia
Darby
feud.
Allin.
It's your Darby feud.
Yeah.
It's your Swerve feud.
Like-
It's I mean the crown jewel for me there is the fucking. I mean the person who I would book to dethrone Moxie is Eddie Kingston. Like Eddie's comeback.
Yeah. That,
And
like,
how
to me,
emotional that could get, and the payoff for Eddie being the
me,
one
that
to
would have been
actually
perfect.
to step up. It might still
Eddie
happen.
has often been the guy who hasn't stepped up. Really,
I
like,
don't,
you know?
Yeah, he has been, and I think, but also the fact that it's Mox, that would be for me the ideal payoff after having seen Mox dispatch Darby, Swerve, Jade, rest of them. The fact then that like Adam Copeland of all people gets plugged into this, and I genuinely
kind of, there was a bit of cognitive dissonance
it's,
there.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, we've got this true line established now for the debt writers and what they represent and what the nature of their fucking reign is going to be. And it's like somebody in the office just goes, "Oh, Copeland said he's retiring in 18 months."
Better do that now.
We better find a way to do Cope Mox now.
Do you know what
and
I
I think
thought?
that's exactly what we're seeing.
I also felt there was a part of it where they were going, who's the top guy, big name that we feel we can beat right now? We can beat Cope.
You can, and Cope's happy to be beaten, despite what people say. I mean, I know he's selective about how and the ways in which he loses, but like
he's getting pinned on Wednesday.
yeah. That being said, Christian been put in to take the fucking.
But you know, it served
I was
multiple
really
purposes.
hoping we'd see Christian get some kind of a world title win. It felt like a lame payoff to that.
Yeah.
But that being said, it did feel like it's teeing up Copeland and Christian coming together for a tag run.
Because I do think that's going to happen.
And it feels like there's like splits in the patriarchy now.
Yeah, it's
so
a lot of things happening together there.
I don't know. Again,
Do you think they should do a heel or face tag run?
it's got to be a heel.
I think so. I thought it was going to be
I
a
don't
face
want to
one.
see Christian as a face now. I actually feel like
I
feel like Cope can do decent
get more
tweener
mileage
stuff.
out of heel.
Yeah.
Now, I think. So I felt like
Them, what, like two of them against the Young Bucks for the first time in Texas.
you've just booked it. Because I wasn't sure what they were going to do.
Doesn't even need to be near the tag titles. That as a match alone is
that's like a dream match.
it's a dream match.
Yeah. And I think both teams could do tremendous work with each other. Like,
And I think they would love it.
Yeah, no, you've cooked with that one. That's every bit as good as Athena and Mercedes there. That's huge. Like,
I think that
Christian
could be
versus the Young Bucks. Jesus Christ.
that could be the direction. So like I mean,
Because the Young Bucks have wrestled the Dudleys.
I believe so. They've definitely wrestled
Wrestled
hard.
Hardys multiple
They've never
times.
wrestled Edge and
Never
Christian.
wrestled Edge and Christian.
But very few teams in the contemporary sense have wrestled Edge and Christian, because Edge and Christian as a unit
The run
haven't
wasn't
teamed
actually
since
that
like 20, and they haven't teamed since 2011. So
Yeah, and that was like a reunion thing for not that long a period of time.
no,
And before that, they hadn't tagged since like 2002.
yeah, 2002 when they split up.
Yeah, so like you've really had one. You had
There's
the original
juice in that tank for a tag run.
Yeah, and I think heel is probably.
I'd be sad to see the patriarchy go because I think Christian's been good, but now that it's very obvious that he's not getting a world title run off it, maybe
doesn't
that
need
is
the patriarchy anymore.
maybe that is the direction. I don't know.
And yeah, they're showing the splits in that. I think it would make sense for Cope to go heel and go back and do the tag thing with Christian. And then it's like, I think another good thing was whoever came up with the idea for doing a cash-in thing in AEW was an idiot. And I think Tony realized
Again, it was
that.
just like the parameters of it weren't clear. It was fucking muddy. It was just muddy in
It's a
your.
WWE thing.
And they
I
had
also think
but
that's tired in WWE.
But also, it'd be like if someone won Money in the Bank and they kept it until after the next Money in the Bank, and then you've got two Money in the Bank men's winners, say, because they did that. Like Will Hobbs won. They did the exact same Casino Battle Royal. Didn't Hobbs win a contract and then immediately cashed it in the following week? This was a couple of months ago.
I don't remember that.
So they've done like that match that he won back in All In last year. They've done another version of it with another similar outcome, even though he still had his contract that he didn't cash in. It's way too muddled.
It was muddled.
I hope AEW is finding its way back to cleaner storylines.
But I think
how streamlined this card was and how well booked it was indicates that they might be starting to do that again.
They are, and I think everything like
the fat lads.
The fact that Will Ospreay, Hangman, MJF, and Swerve have all said in promos in the last 2 weeks they're coming for the world title. I think they have a plan for everything now.
They've come back on track.
Yeah, and I think having the Christian cash in was a way they used that main event there to disentangle the shit that had crept in over the last 6-8 months.
Yeah.
And it was like, right, we need to burn this fucking contract. Let's just look.
If Christian's not going to win it, then
we'll take the hit in this match now. Let's just get it done
and use that as a building block for Cope and Christian coming back together. Great, Grant. That's all good.
I think like some of the match suffered from them going, we've kind of fucked up a lot of shit. We need to burn it off somewhere. Let's just do it now. And the main event will suffer a little bit because of it seems a bit convoluted, overbooked, and so on.
When you've booked such a hot card with amazing fucking matches, Meltzer spazzing 5 stars all over the fucking place.
3 in a row.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the best 3-match stretch of cards in wrestling history? Stretch of matches in wrestling history?
Dave Meltzer says so. But it's up there. I mean, I thought the consistency in this card.
Insane.
If you're watching it live, you'd be hard pressed to take a bathroom break. I didn't watch it live, so I did take bathroom breaks at my own discretion.
I watched it. I
very few duds in it
for when the show finished, and then I watched it with no social media. In the morning, like 5:30.
I did similar. Not that early.
I had to go to work at 9:30.
Oh right, okay.
I set my alarm for 5:30 and watched it right up until 9:30 and went to work. So I loved it. And then Swerve coming out at the end, getting the mega pop.
Again, that's setting up your next world title feud.
Also,
main event of Dynasty.
To me that this is the guy.
Yeah, it is a bit.
You know, I was looking at him going, Swerve's the guy. Look at that reaction.
Yeah, and I think you can have a great feud now with them. And he could well beat Mox at Dynasty, but he mightn't either, and that'll be fine too.
I think
he'll be okay.
I think he should.
Depends on what the direction is for All In.
I know, yeah, but I think no matter what your direction for All In is, it's wrong.
I think it's wrong if it's going to be Darby fucking Mox. If it's Hangman Mox or Eddie Kingston Mox, I think you've got something that justifies the spot.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, when I seen that, like, Swerve doing the Swerve stomp onto Mox off the thingy in the crowd, I was like, I don't think your audience at Dynasty is going to accept anything else. I think you're going like, if Swerve loses, we riot.
Fuck him. Sorry. Fuck him. Let's get Vince McMahon.
Roman Reigns again.
Yeah.
I just think the fucking place there'll be the level of meltdowns we will see if Mox beats Swerve will be incredible.
You know what? If that actually, look, these are smart people and are mostly good at booking. If this starts to juice Mox's reign and that people are gasping to see him dethroned, then it's doing exactly what it should have been doing from the jump.
And also, I think Swerve is so good, both in ring and character at the minute, that if there's anyone going to kickstart this thing to like super hot levels, it's Swerve.
It will be Swerve.
And if Hangman is following up Swerve being the next person, that'll stay super hot as well, because he's another guy who everything he touches at the moment is hot.
And I feel, again, I know I'm going like a fucking broken record going on about Eddie Kingston, but I feel like Eddie could keep that ball in the air. I feel like if Darby comes back now, people will be like, and there is an air of like, oh, you're prioritising that mountain over your fans.
Yeah.
That mountain, that largest mountain in the fucking world.
You're prioritising that over
that you keep fucking going on about. Everyone knows that is your, like, as a human being, that is your
life's goal,
ultimate objective now, more so than the AEW World Title. So, like, I feel like he's lost buy-in, even if you're not aware of his mountain-loving ways.
I think he has.
And his plans to climb that mountain.
And I think also the other thing is though, like, you go away like that, and other people get mega hot in your absence. You pivot and you go to people who are
3
hot.
months ago, I would have said, "Oh yeah, Darby's the end game." Now, too many other guys are actually way hotter, and would be way more interesting going after Mox. Ospreay included there as well.
Yeah.
Fucking Kenny included.
Yeah, like you have so many hot options now, and like Darby doesn't feel to me that when he comes back, I don't think he's going to be as hot as any of those guys.
I don't think so.
And like Darby's great, and I did think he was the right next choice for champion, but people like Ospreay, Swerve, Hangman have put in such great work that I'm thinking I've never seen Darby be that good as what they're doing in all aspects.
True.
I've seen them have tremendous matches and moments and some great promos, but like consistently, I've never seen Darby do what those guys are doing now.
Yeah.
I feel like they've just gone to another level at the minute.
Yeah, be interesting to see where it goes and how it plays out.
I'm predicting Swerve wins defense against Hangman in Texas.
I'm not so sure, but I think that would be a good direction.
I know. I don't know if that's a prediction or something I just really
It's
want.
not a spoiler anyway, because you don't fucking know.
I don't know. I'm not in Tony's brain.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out.
Will we go for a pint?
Let's take it home.
We're going for a pint.
Take it home.
What's the thing Shane says?
Like, subscribe, view, rewatch,
And all
rewind,
them things.
recycle.
Reuse, recycle, reduce. We're going for a pint. This has been the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show. Thank you for spending time with us today and every day.
Wow. Well, there's no beating that outro.
No, you can't beat that.